Hi, welcome to Fully Alive. It's our hope that through today's program, you'll find the tools that will help you build your faith, build your life, and we pray that you may find the hope and the healing that you need. Check out this clip from today's sermon.
Now, I know for some of you, you're like, you want a relationship, you're like, God, please bring someone along. And some of you, you feel like you're the last bag on the baggage claim at the airport. You're like, anybody, somebody, anybody, claim ticket, claim check, anybody? Do you understand that today's rhythms in your finances, if you aren't saving, if you aren't investing, if you aren't creating margin, then tomorrow you're going to be broke. And you get that. And you get that in your career. If I don't get the education, get the licensure, get the technical skills I need, get the certifications I need, that I won't have this job that I want tomorrow. But in our relationships, we're creating rhythms that we probably don't want tomorrow. And so it's get together, hook up, break up, and then we don't understand why we get married, hook up, and then break up. Because we are playing marriage here, and so we keep playing it here. And so the rhythm we've created, I told you it's gonna be shock to your system. Some of you are like, oh dear God, what is he saying? I'm just telling you, I'm gonna help you though, all right? But we play this game over here, and how you practice is how you play. And so I'm just wanting to propose that maybe there's a better way. That maybe there's a better way that leads to healthier, lasting relationships.
We believe that as you invest the next few moments in listening to today's sermon, that your life could change forever. So let's lean in together and hear all that God has for us.
Throughout this series, last 3 weeks, I've tried to give us principles in relationships that really apply to a cross-section of relationships, whether it's marriage relationship or you're single or your parent-child relationship or working relationships, or just principles that we can take into any area and sector of our life and find that they're applicable. And so today I wanted to stay in that vein, but I really felt strongly from the Lord that I was supposed to go in a very specific direction and deal with a very specific relationship. Now, I think it'll still apply to everyone because you are either in this season in life or you know someone in this season of life that you need to give input and be an influencer in, or you may be a parent and you're gonna be training and guiding and directing, and so this is gonna be like great notes for you to take. And so I think everybody will get some application out of it, but I really feel like I'm supposed to target in on one area, and it can be a challenging area because it can come with some baggage, it can come with some hurt, it can come with some confusion and some desires that are unmet, and I understand all that, and I want to be sensitive to that. But I want to deal with the season of dating. I just want to propose, and it's up to you what you do with the information. I just want to propose that just maybe since God invented it, that God is the best one to tell us how to do it in a way that's healthy and a way that's God-honoring. And I know for some of you, you're like, you want a relationship, you're like, God, please bring someone along. And some of you, you feel like you're the last bag on the baggage claim at the airport. You're like, anybody, somebody, anybody, claim ticket, claim check, anybody, and it's a difficult season. I get it, lived it, understand it. And here's the principle that we applied everywhere else, but we don't to our relationships. It's today's rhythms becomes tomorrow's realities. And so you apply that to everybody else. You understand that today's rhythms in your finances, if you aren't saving, if you aren't investing, if you aren't creating margin, then tomorrow you're going to be broke. And you get that. And you get that in your career. If I don't get the education, get the licensure, get the technical skills I need, get the certifications I need, that I won't have this job that I want tomorrow. But in our relationships, we're creating rhythms that we probably don't want tomorrow. And so it's get together, hook up, break up, and then we don't understand why we get married, hook up, and then break up. Because we are playing marriage here, and so we keep playing it here. And so the rhythm we've created, I told you it's gonna be shock to your system. Some of you are like, oh dear God, what is he saying? I'm just telling you, I'm gonna help you though, all right? But we play this game over here, and how you practice is how you play. And so I'm just wanting to propose that maybe there's a better way. That maybe there's a better way that leads to healthier, lasting relationships. And so I want to talk to you because there is a season for everything. The Bible says this in Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. So there is a season to enjoy the intimacy of a relationship, of a marriage. There is a time to enjoy sex. God made it. There is a season to enjoy that. And here's the deal. I don't know if you know this, but God created it. He created it. And so the feelings and the emotions, and God made all that. But there's a right season for that. And when we live life out of season, then we get things out of sync. And when we get things out of sync, then it leads to an unhealthy destination. Leads to an unhealthy destination. And so I want to talk to you today about the seasons of dating. And if you'll live these seasons well, I believe that you'll set yourself up well to have an incredible, God-honoring relationship that could potentially lead to a credible, God-honoring marriage that could potentially lead to you passing down a God-honoring heritage to another generation. Are you with me? Are you with me? So we're going to go to this book called The Song of Solomon. And the Song of Solomon is written by King Solomon, and it is a story. It's his love story of him and a Shunammite woman. We don't know her name. We just know she's called the Shunammite woman. And it's broken into 5 categories. Category number 1 is they meet. Category number 2 is they court. Category number 3 is they get married. Number 4 is they fight. Bible's keeping it real. How many of you know there's some fights happening? And then number 5 is about faithfulness. It's about how to make it last for a long time. Now I got to warn you is that Song of Solomon is written in a poetic form. There's some hyperbole involved in there. But just before we get into it, some of you are like, this is really weird, and I would never do this, and you probably shouldn't use some of the language in here because it wouldn't apply to today and in our current context. Are y'all with me? Say amen. Amen. So Ecclesiastes, or Song of Solomon chapter 2 says this, listen, my lover, look, here he comes. This is her talking. Leaping across the mountains, bounding over the hills. He probably wasn't literally doing that, but you know, when you first meet someone, you're like, they're awesome. Look at him. What's happened is he's shown up to spend some time with her, and so she's looking out. She's like looking out the window. She's like, there he is. He's just pulled up in his car. If you'll notice, let's keep running. My lover spoke and said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one. Come with me to Firebirds. Like, you should try that next time, right? Like, you go pick someone, arise, my darling. You know, whatever. But this is a season that we all find ourselves in so many different relationships. When you first got the job you're on, this was the season that I'm about to show you. Whenever you first came to this church, it's a season that you entered that I'm going to show you. And whenever you first start dating, this is a season that we all find ourselves in, and it's this. It's the season of perfection. When you meet somebody for the first time, they're all perfect. Why? Because as the old saying goes, love is blind, and it's stupid. Can be sometimes. And when you first meet someone, it's like, he's awesome, Mom. Look at him, Mom. He's awesome. I just want to be with, he's the one. You've known him a day. He's the one. I think he's the one. She's like, he's like, Dad, she's hot. Look at her, Dad. She's like, I think this is it. You're awesome. It's because there's a season of perfection. But you get around each other long enough and you'll find out that each other isn't perfect, right? Come on, married folk, help me out. Ladies, he's not perfect, is he? Gentlemen, she's not perfect. See, there wasn't any amens. Men are like, I ain't saying amen. Ain't no way. You are not tricking me, Pastor. I'm going home today and I will get to take a nap. Y'all funny. But there's this season of perfection where everything is wonderful, and I can tell you, let me tell you, don't get engaged in this season of perfection. Reality has not set in. It's okay. It's normal. It's just everything is with rose-colored glasses and everything. My darling, arise and come with me. There he is like a gazelle. There he is. Isn't he awesome, Dad? Isn't she wonderful, Mom? She's just the one that I've always, right? But this isn't the time. And this time, what do you do in the season of perfection? Number one is this. In the season of perfection, you need to limit the time. Limit the time. What do I mean by that? You need to limit the time that you spend together. I see too many times that someone all of a sudden meets someone new, they're joined at the hip, and they isolate themselves from every other relationship in their life. All of a sudden they have no time for friends, and all of a sudden they don't have time like they used to for their family. All of a sudden they get off balanced. It gets off balanced. It gets so unhealthy towards where, well, shouldn't we be together? We got to get to know each other. No, you need time together. Then you need time to back up and go, let me have perspective. Let me process that conversation. Let me think through how they treated me. Let me think through how that day. Let me think through what they said. You know, whenever he said that, I wonder if that's because he values this, because I don't value that. And I need to process through that. And I need to get around my family. I don't need to isolate myself. You do need to limit the time that you hang out with each other. Are you with me? Say amen. Number two, you need to limit the talk. Limit the talk. I'm not saying don't talk to each other. I just mean in this season of perfection, you should guard your heart. You shouldn't open up with every deep emotion that you have. You shouldn't get into the depths of the pains of your story just yet. Because Mr. Perfect may be Mr. Manipulative. And he will take what you are sharing and manipulate it for his advantage. If you open up too much in this season of perfection, then you'll find yourself sharing things and making emotional connections that are hard to undo once the reality sets in and you think this may not be the direction I want to go. You need to guard your heart. Listen to me. You need to guard your heart because your heart's of value. No matter what it's been through, no matter how many scars are in there, your heart is of value. And so you guard valuable things. You are a treasure. And because you're a treasure, you should limit. This isn't the time to get engaged. This isn't the time to like picture your name with his last name. And to draw it, like bubble letters, draw it in script. Come on, somebody, I'm gonna get old school. Cover your trapper keeper. Come on, it ain't time to put it all over your trapper keeper with your Velcro flap and your folders inside. Come on, kangaroo shoes with pouches you can put money in. Anybody remember? Some of you young people need to Google that. It'll bless your soul to know what a trapper keeper and kangaroo shoes are. Number three, you need to limit the touch. It gets quiet at this moment in every service. You need to limit the touch. Some things that God designed in the context of marriage, all right? Sex he made for marriage. But some people ask me, well, Pastor, how close to the edge can I get? How much too much? How close? When I was in student ministry, that's always what students wanted to know. What can I do and not be sinning? I'm always like, that's the wrong question. The question is, how close can I get to the edge without falling off? The question is, how far can I stay back and stay safe? Are you with me? Here's some of the best advice someone gave me, is that when you are out, for me, when you're out with a girl, it could be your future wife is out with some other guy. So why don't you treat the one you're out with like you would want that guy to treat the one you're going to marry? Limit the touch. And all the parents said, amen, preacher. Let's keep going. So chapter 2, verse 11 says, see, the winter is past, the rains are over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the season of singing has come, the cooing of the doves is heard in our land. You're like, what does that have to do with anything? The winter is past. I'm not an agricultural guy at all, but I do like a green yard. Are y'all with me? But here's what I do know. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know it's pH balance matters, and I do know putting down lime matters because, we live on clay, and I do know that aeration and overseeding matters, and I do know that at the right time is when you got to do it. And so in the fall, I make sure there's a good aeration and a good overseeding because I want that seed to germinate, but I don't see any results until the spring. Because throughout the winter, I don't see flowers blooming, and I don't see the grass growing, and I don't see the nice green lawn, and I don't get up in the morning and see the sprinklers sprinkling my lawn and making it green and glisten in the sunshine of a summer day, which just makes my heart feel good with the right lines going from the mower. Come on, somebody, like a baseball field. It just does something for my OCD. In the winter, I don't see that because you know what? Everything that is happening to the grass in the winter is underneath the ground. The roots are growing. It's getting deeper. It's getting stronger. It's getting nutrients. So when the springtime comes, the flowers can appear. And so this is what I would call the season of preparation. The season of preparation. There has to be a season in your life where you're preparing, where you're developing your character, your virtue. I know that's kind of an old school term, but you're developing your virtue, the value of who you are. Are you with me? And can I tell you something? This may be hard to hear. You don't have a disease. Something's not wrong with you if you are just in a season of being without someone. You don't, nothing's wrong with you. Listen to me. People will, you're in that spot where at weddings, everybody's like, you're next. And you're like, I want to punch you. Right? You got like that aunt that's like, you're next. Somebody told me this joke. They said, the next time you're at a funeral, look at that same aunt and go, you're next. That's funny. I don't care who you are, that's funny. So what do you do in the season of preparation? Instead of looking for the right person, focus on being the right person. Instead of, I gotta find this, gotta find that, gotta find. No, what if you attract who you are? So whatever it is you want, start being that. Focus on being that. Here's some things I would suggest are good to focus on. Number one is to develop your relationship with God. To develop your relationship with God. You want a godly person? Then you've got to be godly. You've got to be, to the kind of person you want to attract, there's nothing more attractive than someone in love with Jesus. Someone that's in the house of God every week. Someone that can't wait to get there. Someone that wants to worship God passionately. Someone that's in their Bible. Someone that knows how to hear the voice of God. Develop how to hear the voice of God in your life so you can discern when God's brought the right one to you. Learn how to have a prayer life where you seek God in prayer and you know how to cry out to Him and you know how to get a hold of. I don't know about you, but I wanted someone that was beside me, that when hell came against us, we knew how to fight back. I needed someone that could get in the fight with me, that knew how to pray until something happens. Number two is develop a servant's heart. Develop a servant's heart. If you're wanting to get into marriage to have someone to serve you, don't get married. You will make someone miserable for the rest of your life. If you're dating somebody like that or engaged to somebody like, bye, Felicia. Run now. Like, I'll give you permission to run out of this building, out of the service, out of your campus. Marriage is about two people who have died to themselves and committed to serve one another. And so develop that heart now. Develop it by serving the house of God. Develop it by serving the poor, serving the community, serving the needs of others. Develop a servant's heart. You want someone that has a servant's heart, then you got to develop your own servant's heart. Number three is develop healthy friendships. Develop healthy friendships. Who knows, your most healthy friendships out of that could birth the one that God has set aside for you. Develop healthy, God-honoring. This is why you need to be in a small group. I know we say that and you're like, I don't want to be, I don't got time for a small group. You need healthy, godly friendships that'll be around you and encourage you and speak life into you. You need friends that'll go, hey, I don't know if you see this about this, but there's some manipulation happening here, and I love you enough to guard you. I love you enough to I love you enough to come beside you. I need healthy friendships. Number 4 is develop your path forward. What I mean by that? I mean, in the season of preparation, keep living life. Keep living life. You know, one of the things that attracted me to Tammy, we had a friend. I'd finally got to the place, talking about a season of preparation. I finally got to a place where I was just like, I'm good. God, you bring someone, I'm good. God, you don't right now in this season, I'm good. I'm kind of enjoying life. I'm traveling, preaching on the weekends, doing my thing. I have good friends. I'm having fun, and all that kind of stuff. And someone said, hey, you need to meet my friend Tammy. And I was like, I'm really good. I don't want to meet anybody. And she was kind of in that. It was like, you need to meet my friend Daniel. And she was like, I think I know who he is. I'm just go, I don't really need, And we were just kind of both really good. But one of the things that attracted me to her, but she wasn't waiting on God to bring her a man for her to pursue everything God had for her. Are you with me? I kind of picture relationships as, obviously I run a lot, and so I picture it in running, is that you're running your pace and your lane in life, and God brings somebody along that runs the exact same pace you do, running in their lane. Are you with me? Not someone that you got to drag along, and not someone that's dragging you, but someone that's just in sync with you, in the same rhythm, same pace, just running along. Are you with me? Season of preparation. Let me give you one more. Chapter 2, verse 15, it says this. He says, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. You're like, what in the world does this mean? Vineyards in this book have 2 different meanings. One is literal vineyards, like you would think of. The other is the body. It's talking about their physical body. And so this verse is talking about exactly what you think it's talking about. He says, our vineyards are in bloom. I'm not giving you any more explanation. And he says, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. He's saying the little compromises, the little things that would, see, in other words, they're so attracted to each other. In chapter 3, verse 5, he says to her, listen, we can't arouse love before its proper time. What he's saying is there is a season for intimacy, but it's not right now. What he's saying is, I value you so much, I will not violate your purity in this season until it is the right season. So number 3, it's the season of purity. Maybe for some of you, you're kind of new to church and all this, and you're like, what do you mean? God created sex, but he created it for the context of marriage. And so how do you maintain purity? It's challenging, I get it. I think it's even more difficult than when I was in my teens and 20s, which wasn't that long ago, just make sure you know that. But there's so many images and temptations and everything coming after you all the time. I just want to give you a few things. Number 1 is put wise guardrails in place. Put wise guardrails in place. In other words, decide before you ever get into the situation what you will do in that situation. God's not trying to rain on your parade and keep something from it. He's trying to protect you for something. Because when you have sex with someone and you have intimacy, it ties your soul to that person. This is why whenever you've been intimate with someone and then that relationship breaks up, it is so painful and heart-wrenching because it has connected your soul. Are you with me? So God's trying to keep you from the pain of that. He's not trying to rain on your parade. Well, no one will date me if I put up those kind of guardrails. The wrong people won't date you, but the right one will be all about you. Come on, somebody, give Jesus praise. Let me give you two more thoughts real quick. Number one is this, is you got to surround yourself with family. Maybe you're thinking, well, I'm doing this church thing on my own. You got a spiritual family, a really big one here. That's why you need community. Because you need some people in your life that are going, where did you guys go? How late did you stay out? What'd you do? I don't want people in my business like that. If you want to have a season of purity, you do. You want some people that care about you enough to ask you the tough questions and won't let you run into the ditch. And then for some of you, even right now, you're thinking, I did all this wrong. I just want to say to you, don't let condemnation, don't let the enemy speak shame and guilt over you. Here's what you need to do, is let Jesus make all things new in your life. Let Jesus make all things new. He is the God of new beginnings. And so start from today forward, not looking backwards, not wish I could, should have, would have, what if, but yesterday's gone. You got today. Let's move forward from today, knowing that the grace of God covers us completely. And here's the deal. You put Jesus at the center, and everything's better. You put Jesus at the center, and everything is better. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's message, and just want to encourage you, if you find yourself in a season of singleness, that it's not a curse. There's nothing wrong with you. That in this season, you can maximize it. You know, today's rhythms really do become tomorrow's realities. Your future is created by the choices and the habits that you're putting in place right now. And so why don't you determine in your heart that you're going to focus on the season you're in. You're going to maximize the season you're in, understanding that everything you learn and everything you acquire in this season is preparing you for the next one that God has. And God wants you to go into the next season fully equipped, fully prepared to fulfill the destiny that He has for you. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I hope to see you next time.